Alright, next we mock this whole thing up and we double check everything is square and everything is going to fit the way that we want it to fit. So first thing, make sure the sides are nice and parallel. It is lined up to the outline on the print, but you never want to trust a printer to print nice and straight, so you're always going to check it yourself. That's 1 15/16. And we have to measure it here because we measure to the inside of the fuselage side. So when we're up here, we got to make sure, well, we got our doublers in here. So we want to just be super careful that we're measuring from inside edge of the fuse side to inside edge of the fuse side. That is 1 15/16 all lined up. Okay, cool. So it's parallel. We know these sides are square. We're using the 1, 2, 3 blocks to set square. I haven't spread out, or laying down rather, to spread the straightness factor out more. And then the other two 1, 2, 3 blocks are inside, making sure our formers are going to be nice and square this way, along with nice and square vertically. Then what you do, we got to take special note here. All right, guys, because remember we had the 1/8 inch drop here for the motor mounts. All right, so these are right now, they're about 1/8 of an inch up off the paper. So when you're putting in your former, in this case we got to put in former B and former C, you want to make sure when you look at the print, C is just going to be hanging out in space. All right, this fuselage is upside down now. This line is acting as our main zero datum. So C is coming right up to the top, and B, it's really kind of tough to see on the print, but B goes all the way to the top as well. You can kind of see it in the top view, but not super easy. So what we're going to do is make sure these both sit in here the way we exactly want it to. And B actually looks like it's just a touch on the tall side. So sand that down a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we can see our bit of an 1/8 inch gap here. All right. B, when I said it was a touch on the tall side, this top is down. We're building this upside down. The top side of the former was a little bit proud, which kept it from matching up really nicely with these cutouts. Now, the reason we want to stress about this is that these are the motor bearers. This is what the motor is going to be holding on to. And when you're going on to start the motor, you know, you're banging on it, trying to get it to start. As it's running, it's vibrating, all that. We want to spread that whole load out as much as we can. So that way we take all the pressure off, you know, the length of the glue joint here. We take a lot of the pressure out of the glue joint because it just spreads it all out real nice. And by making sure that it's nice and square, we look top down on the print, we make sure it's nice and square to the print and it's square vertically. That way, that's how we get our parallelism for the sides. If this were to be pinched up here up top, it get wide in the back. Or if that didn't sit nice and straight and it was tilted forward, back, or I'm sorry, left or right, these motor bearers would wind up at different heights maybe, and then our motor's not going to sit in nice and square. We would be pushing. You can see right here, the motor actually gets put in upside down, right, like this. And motor bearers actually go on the top side of the motor mount, which is a little weird. Normally they go on the bottom, but you want to make sure not to put that pressure into the case if these aren't on the same height. Now, if they're sitting off to the side like this, you're putting out all that pressure through the frame to get those bars as straight as possible, along with putting all that pressure through the crankcase, and that can rob you of a few RPM here and there, and fuel mileage and all that we got to be super careful of. So next step is to slide those two formers out, just put a little epoxy on and slide them back in. We want this to be nice and strong. This is the foundation of our model. Okay, we got those unglued now. So, just taking a look at this. Sides look nice and parallel. It's looking pretty freaking straight all down through there. I would say this probably turned out pretty good. But, real reason I took it off, just checking the glue joints. Let's see if we can get a better view here. Oh, focus. There we go. See, just enough glue to come up, make contact all around. Done it there. Try to make a little fillet. Again, just trying to relieve some pressure. You never want things just deadheading at 90 degrees. You always want to try and put a radius or a feather edge, like you did to the back of these doublers. Can we get better light on it? There we go. You know, just trying to taper that out so it's not a sharp edge that the forces are all ending in. I think that turned out all right. So in the next step, what we're going to be doing is there's a maple bar that goes about here and another one that goes here to help tie things in together. That's located here and here. So get that made up, and also putting in doublers D, E, and F. D, E, and F. What we're gonna have to do is trim these along the line there, all three of these, because we want to keep building this upside down so we know everything's lined up nice and straight. The other part of that will be drawing the tail together. We'll have to feather these edges just to get a bigger contact for bigger contact area for our glue. And when we do this, we'll also make sure that we're not making one side shorter or longer than the other. And that changes the way the whole bow of the side is. We'll get this blocked up again, right up against the print, so we can make sure and work off the center line that's here for us on the print. And we also put the floor on. That's gonna have to get massaged a little bit. Remember earlier how we were talking about these are still just a hair oversize on the inside. So I'll put it down, I'll double check the heights and level, make sure it sits good like this. Breeze things around as it needs to happen, and then this will get epoxied in. But I might remake this out of the same 5/64 aircraft ply that I used in the doublers. This is just 1/8" light ply. So I gotta think about that. But yeah, so on we go.